We've got Enzio Von Pfeil, who joins us on the phone line from Hong Kong. Enzio, to begin with, what do you make of the fact that we've got 85% of investors who've tendered in their bonds for the swap?
I think it's a great Band-Aid solution. I'm afraid, though, that the Greeks won't be sticking with their promises long term, and that's going to cause problems. But for now, it's good news for now.
Sure. So, Enzio, you say it's a great Band-Aid, a Band-Aid fix. So, essentially, you are, saying that this is just a short-term fix that that works for Greece. How soon do you believe it's going to be before Greece can actually put its problems behind and move on?
Oh, I don't think it ever will. I think that the problem is that we've got some elections coming in Greece in, I believe it's in May, and Mr. Samaras, who seems to be the front runner, the contender, the main contender, has already been making noises that he wanted to unwind a lot of what was being agreed upon now, especially as regards what's happening, I suspect, with the unions. So I think sort of give us another, within the next 3 months, I think that we'll see some further downside on this whole Greek saga.
Sure. Now, Enzio, we've got 85% of investors who've tendered in their bonds. We understand that once the collective action clauses are triggered, it'll amount to about 95%. The bone of contention really over here is the roughly 18 to 20 billion in bonds that are held by hedge funds and other private investors, which are governed by international law. Do you believe once that goes into litigation, it could somewhere compound the problems for Greece and somewhere create problems for even the bonds that have now been tendered in?
Well, I think it will compound the problems for those international bonds that are under primarily British law, the ones that you were referring to. But I don't think I think that the 85% to the 95% that you were just alluding to, those will be all right because they're under Greek law. And they've got the collective action clauses that will kick in.
Sure. And now that we've had the PSI, effectively, we're assuming that it is going to go through. Should we expect that investors such as the European Central Bank and other governments that are holding Greek debt should also ideally be taking a haircut?
Well, I'm not so sure that they should be, because I think that the credibility of the ECB, but then again, I'm German, I suppose, I think that the credibility of the ECB has already been knocked quite a bit because it's had to take up so much of the debt. So I'm quite happy that they don't have to take a haircut, but I see that it's not quite a fair solution because the private sector is taking the haircut and the public sector isn't.
Enzio, just to take off from a point that you were making earlier, with this move having been approved, do you think that it's just a temporary sigh of relief for the markets? Because some also warn that, this may actually be the beginning of a new and perhaps more dangerous crisis. And in the back of this, how would you position yourselves on the European markets?
Well, I think that I would have a 2-month short position on the euro. I know that it's strengthened for now, as we all know, but as you were just saying, I think that there's a lot of bad news that will still come out, because I just think that once the Greeks elect a new government, once the current technocrat leaves, then I think you will find a very different tone adopted, because the Greeks are already bridling at what they have to do in terms of sticking with the promises that they've made. And I just don't see them sticking with the promises. I think it's politically just terrible for them.